I came across a question last night when I was reading 1 Corinthians chapter 11, like verses 3 through 12. And, 3 says, "But I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God." And then in verses 6 through 12, it goes on to, I'll just read 6. "For if a woman does not cover her head, she might as well have her hair cut off. But if it is a disgrace for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, then she should cover her head." And like, I'm going through a little crisis right now because I'm not necessarily grasping what Paul is saying here. I don't even know. Like, if you want to go, if y'all got Bibles,
you can just add a question mark right there. And that's.
And then it says, it says, "A man ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of man. For man did not come from woman, but woman from man. Neither was man created for woman, but woman for man." And then, I could read verses 10 through 12, but, what is he saying here between a woman and a male? Why should a woman have her head covered, but a man should not?
I think there's a lot going on there, and I think that we're gonna default to the same thing as "this too will be revealed." But I think there's an interesting thing in 1 Corinthians when you read chapters 1 through 10, you see the argument that he's making, always constantly contrasting the environment they lived in, the culture they lived in, that was downright hostile to anything of Christian morals. The temple of Diana or Aphrodite was right there in Corinth. They would constantly worship there, which involved lewd, crude, Epstein Island type sexual acts, often pedophilia and homosexuality involved in that. There were those who went to the temple and visited. There were those who worked the temple. Often the prostitutes were known to shave their heads as a way to indicate their role in the temple. And so I think there's something there of the idea of women running around with the short hair in that context, signaling a compliance with the culture. So I think there's something there that we can glean of how Christians should be intentionally countercultural to the values of our culture and the morals of our culture. I don't think that it's teaching women who have short hair are blaspheming God, nor men with long hair, particularly guys with long hair named Nathan, are blaspheming God. I don't think that's the application to glean from that. But I will also give other guys a chance to speak.
Go ahead, Rick.
So I love everything he said. To me was really good. And then I think you were mentioning something. I won't go there because you just might mention it and they didn't hear you. So I'll just stop right there. But something that I want you to see as well in that chapter, and throughout all of Scripture, but particularly in that chapter, that I think Paul is really laying out. Take all the little this, that's, and the other things away. He's really defining order.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
God is a God of order. And so we're talking about it's not that woman is less than or man is greater than, but there's always an order to everything. Even in, you got your job, you've got your boss, you've got your workers, you've got your whatever. There's an order to everything. And so Paul's laying that out where it's sort of that big umbrella. God's the big one, and then you've got Christ, and then you've got the man who is over his wife, but he's a protector, a provider, the wife, the children, and you kind of break it all the way down. Yeah, it's a role. So it's roles and that kind of a thing. And so if you could take all those verses and bunch them together and just see how principled and ordered God is, and what's the opposite of order? It's chaos. There's no such thing as chaos in how God outlines everything in His Word. And so that's something I would want you to see in that passage as well.
Yeah, it comes down to this. It's a spirit of cooperation. That's what the word submission is. And as man submits and has a spirit of cooperation with God, so the woman has its order. Now, we'll be going to India in a few days, and all the women, ladies, have a dupatta, and if they were sitting in service, the ladies would sit on that side, the guys would sit on this side, and they all have their heads covered. The men do not. So they attempt to follow that and create this order, and that's all the churches I've ever been in India. And in some areas of the world, that's still very much followed because it's an issue of a spirit of cooperation, of role. Okay? So that's all. I think it's context, I think it's culture, and I think it's the context of the passage, which is order.
That's great.
That's real good.
Thank you.